Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open. You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray. Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand? He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask. The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
Well, your wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that, your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, propelling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can... Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. You'll sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragic? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety. Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over, but an old cliché in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another. Your deepest desires, your greatest wish, heaven, Big Rock Candy Mountain, El Dorado, the Promised Land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine. Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing. It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that. I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you will feel pain, hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back. Go on your way, Seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard. ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you, "Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?" You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. "You know these girls?" they demand. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. "If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash," sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
Land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. The shape gives a start.
"Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says, and
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore. But I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding."
you tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere. You don't see another soul for miles. Come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore. They seem to wait for something together, fidgeting and rubbing against one another. And when they fly off, they fly together. These two, these same two, have been coming here ever since I was a boy, the old man says. He watches them fly away until their bodies are dots vanishing into the low sun. Always the same pair. Wonder what keeps him coming back to this town. The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. The confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere as far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes. The longshoreman watches Steve Doors load up a crane. Yellow ribbon? That woman's dead. Ghost dead. Buddies of mine, they've seen her all over the Atlantic for decades now. You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open, with a daunting staircase before you. At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door. Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door. Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. I always behave myself. He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead. After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand. Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in. Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. Tea? He offers, hoisting a teapot. Oh, we manage. The tall one sits on the sofa, casually wrapping an arm around the other lighthouse keeper. The quiet suits us just fine. He needs his quiet time. He's a writer. The tall one grunts. I dabble, but you must have some good stories from the road. You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes? There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave. and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start shrieking at one another. The man with the truck leaps into the street.
Brother!
He shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle.
Brother!
He screams. They embrace in the road.
30 years!
Hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him.
No! 32!
Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling.
Take a photo of us!
The driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck. The long-lost brothers pose in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby wave you out of the road, each brother presses a coin into your hand. When the traffic disperses, you realize they overpaid you quite a shocking amount.
My vagrant song.
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost. Bright light crests around one corner, a car approaching. Unable to afford rescue, you keep walking. The asphalt turns to crooked cobblestones that threaten to wrench your ankle out of place. Was this always a moonless night? The stars multiply, each one looking like a pinprick through which light is exiting the terrestrial world. It's hard finding your way through in pitch darkness. You go by touch and sound, feeling the scale of the streets by the echoing of your footsteps, fingers tracing the rough surface of the buildings. And then, a rumble of noise in the distance. You quiet yourself, suddenly fearful. The clear sky tells you it's not thunder, but cannon fire. The city comes alive with fires and shouting. You find yourself trampled by a mob of men in thick brown coats, a phalanx of bayonets advancing up the street. When you come to, there's no sign of the commotion, the war that you were just caught in. The comically shrill honk of a Model A running up the road startles you, and you crawl toward the sidewalk. Above, the sky is a sharp, cold, cloudless blue. The edge of summer has turned the ocean choppy and misanthropic, and the skies miserably gray. The boardwalk prophetess lured you into her tent with a promise to read a fortune for free. Seems like business has slowed to a crawl already. Before you lie the instruments of her profession. There's tarot cards, Rider-Waite, but also Marseille for traditionalists, rosary beads and costume jewelry, and of course, the centerpiece, a great glass globe. With practiced theatricality, she goes directly for the crystal ball, letting her eyes unfocus as though she can see a great distance into it. She brings up names, places, asks if you've known someone called John, if you have a relative in Newark. You'll latch on to what she says, and together you dance towards some insights about your romantic prospects. It's relieving to meet an honest charlatan instead of the ghouls and ghasts of the road. You might even say you're having fun, until she abruptly stops talking.
Your eyes,
She says, her voice suddenly drained of the bassy drama that was her stock in trade.
You've met him. You've seen him, too. You carry him with you.
The words that come out of your mouth are not your own. They seem unwilling or unable to form properly out of a human throat. They're more like snarls, warning noises of a vicious animal. The glass globe shatters. Your vision is hazy, and your body is not your own. You came far to get away from me, the voice lodged inside you says. But this one has a way of wandering. The fortune teller has collapsed, cowering. Consider your debt to me repaid. When you come to your senses, you're lying face down on the rough wood of the boardwalk, sore and weak. An empty patch of wood, cleaner than the surrounding planks, is all that remains of the fortune teller's tent.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is. This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn. These here are my venturing companions. Kaz is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip. I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff. What's the use in telling sweet happy tales if in they make you snooze? My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw-flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said. I want a story that scares me. Now I'm older, almost nobody can do it. Give me your best shot. Leaving already? Well, me too. I think I'll go check out what's happening up the road this way. Maybe I'll see you around. The trample knife suits me just fine. Every day's a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue, unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth. The goat opens its mouth and wails, a protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke. Outside the small thicket of apple trees, the phrase "tended to by John Chapman" is carved into a fence post. Nearby, a hound lies on its side, perfectly still. Flies buzz around its ears. But a grizzled man pauses at his digging to shoo them off. There's an extra shovel. With it, the 2 of you make short work of the grave. He tells you about his beliefs, why he's raising apple orchards in the middle of the country. It's a sin to graft, he tells you. Hurts the tree. Eventually, the hole is deep enough. He stoops to the ground and lowers the pup into the earth. Tears flow freely. "I'll see him again in heaven," he tells you. "Our souls are bound by love." He wipes his eyes. "I don't think I can bear to stay here, though. Maybe I'll set out again." The mailman's uniform is dated and worn. He sits on the edge of the road, head in hands. He looks up as you approach. "Can you help?" "Car clipped me. I think my legs... Well, I'd appreciate it if you could deliver this for me." He holds out a brown envelope. The letter's addressed to a James Gibson Sr., 120 J Street. But the city stymies you. The blocks run straight from I to K. You stop a man for directions, but he shakes his head and laughs. "Someone's playing a joke on you. There's no J Street." "Over here." A woman in a brown coat overheard your question. She steers you down an alley. Someone's chalked a big orange J on one wall. "I thought Clovis was late. Go left up ahead. Old Man Gibson's the third on the right." As you round the corner, the world changes. J Street is a place out of time. Like the city forgot an entire street a century ago and carried on around it, oblivious. Even the noise and bustle of D.C. can't penetrate this little pocket. The man who answers is ancient and stooped. He peers at the letter. "I think it's from my son. I don't see so well anymore. Will you read it to me?" You tear the letter open. It isn't good news. You read the letter, omitting a few key details, but his face still falls. "I don't think he's coming home," he says. "It's been so long. I don't think he's ever coming back." He takes the letter. "Thank you for bringing word, at least." Women are oblivious to your approach. Their eyes are shut. Their touch, where they hold hands, is gentle. They speak in low tones. One stifles a burst of laughter, but it brings a smile to their faces. "Sorry," says the one who laughed. "Don't be," another assures her. They don't look up. "And we give thanks for those who have left us, who we wanted gone, for the skills to thrive without them, and for the companions who make the effort joyful." The voice of the youngest wavers. The woman to her left squeezes her hand. This is not a scene to intrude upon.
Well, I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that very man come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to drag me down.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody till we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he didn't make it through. The march I was on, the bonus army, it's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to suffer. Civilians will never understand. Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind. I don't mean to be rude, but civvies don't understand what real tragedy is. My wishes come true? Well, if I could wish for anything, it'd probably be for a nice, plentiful garden, away from everyone else. My own land, my own laws, my own Eden. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? Got nightmares enough without hearing that kind of horror. I like it. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? For a moment there, just a moment, I felt better about it all too. My family, they were good to me, Ma and Pa, and to Paul, and to my sister Jessie. Some days I wish I could find Jessie again and have her help me. She always liked Paul best. Tell me a happy story, something to make the world seem kind. I liked that one. There's some hope left for you too, you know. Don't give it away too quickly. Love? It was a real long time ago. I pulled a ribbon on her hair, and her pigtails came undone, and she tattletaled on me. Never really tried after that. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? I don't really scare at that stuff anymore. When the memories come back to you, do they clutch at you? At your heart? Here's the sun. I've got to go. I'm headed up the road this way. Will our paths cross? Days come and go and the terrors return. They'll never be able to pay back what they owe me, but I'll always keep at 'em. What about you? Is there something somebody owes you?
Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Muddling through the dark, you stumble into the path of the white deer. Its beauty strikes you at once. It is something otherworldly, beyond borders, a moon swimming in the void. Human shouts not far away break the spell. The deer's ears prick up. This thing is being hunted. You know a way out of here. As the hunter's cries get louder, you approach the deer carefully, palms outstretched. As you grow close, your features become clearer in the light of the deer's aura. It bolts into the path of an oncoming train.
Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, I won't be no one else to dig my hole.
Sorry, friend, but I gotta ask not to get no closer unless I can see your hands at all times. Look too clean to be one of us. But you don't look like the company sent you neither. Alright, come and share my fire spell. Don't linger. These hills is full of ears. Don't think just 'cause you can't see no one that you're safe. I'll give you cornbread. Don't be so sure of me neither. I need a laugh. Know any good jokes? Well, just seems like wishful thinking to me. Family. Well, they took my big brother out of school to send him down the mine. He weren't bigger than 10 years old. He's so big in my memory. He must have been such a small feller, come to think. Got any funny stories? Must have... Come on, stranger. Tell me something true. What's freedom? When the community decides what it's worth? Setting the value of things together? You mean when you don't answer to nobody? Just ain't possible, my friend. See anything exciting out there on the road? Mostly I just seen dogs. Brings me back. There was a time when me and Big Ben could just enjoy exciting stories like this one. Innocent. Death. Yeah. Little tin of morphine some of us carried down so as to die peaceful, just in case. Some thought it better to die a sinner than to go with death's hand pulling the breath out of your body slow as he goes. I think God would have forgiven it. He would have had to. What do you think? Anyway, I need something to laugh about. Got any funny ones? Are you trying to scare me? Every man in the last meeting I ran could tell you a story scarier than that right off the top of his head. Fortune? They tell these men, get on the train. There's work for you on the other end. They say, pack up. Bring your families. Come on, earn your keep in the land of the free. So they pack up. These men quite a ways from their home already, and if they make it to the mine town alive, the company tells them, gotta use our tools. Take it out your first month's pay. Train ticket here too. Nothing you get doesn't come from us. First day you go down to work, you might even be in debt already. What can they do but go down all in a line, like beasts. Dark. I've been running too long. Dogs and guns. Tell me something happened. Stranger, miners tell me sadder stuff than that every day of the week. Heaven? Honest pay for an honest day. Even now, I don't dare open my lips all the way around the words. Morning. I gotta get going. Headed up that way. I'll be specific, for my safety and yours. If you want to find me, then do it. Talk again about these things. Coal ain't got no country. No worker neither. Worker ain't Virginia, Christian, white, colored, Irish, Polish, nothing. A worker is a worker. And we all gotta work. If you're one of them, if you think I sound red, you best come out and say so. Get it over with.
Of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this
close. Then you see him, high up above the black streaks of wires. A lineman, fraying belt holding him to the pole. A damned bird has come to perch on a power line, stare hungrily at the man's soul. He's unsteady. His hands are shaky, and his body sways in the wind. You spot his tool bag next to the pole, worn and frayed, much like the man. A half-gone bottle of cheap rye pokes out of it. What's he gonna do? Come down from the pole? You snatch it from his bag in one quick motion and walk away. "Hey!" he starts, but whatever he's about to say slips into a slurred whine as his belt snaps. His body plummets, and his limbs go slack with the understanding of what is happening to him. He tumbles into the tall, dry grass by the side of the road with a muffled noise. All you hear is the call of the whippoorwill. Eager, loud, thankful.
I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground.
First tree in a mile, and it's a stout myrtle with bald branches. No relief from the sun out here. Leaves would help. Someone hadn't replaced them all with dusty glass bottles. You cool down in the shade. The breeze blows through the bottles, making a series of heavy, hollow sounds. You think about wind chimes and the smell of fresh pies on windowsills. The dense sound of many conversations cuts your nap short. There's no one around. Not until you look up at the bottles. They're filled with bright blue orbs, and words echo from them. None seem to notice your presence.
Can't get enough. Porcelain, chrome, the rusty ones. Gotta turn those sleek faucets. Ever find me in a hardware store, I'm gonna haunt it till the cows come home.
Laughter rumbles inside neighboring bottles.
And the sea, and when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. When the night a vagrant song. Yeah, this will.
The soldier sits in the dirt with his legs splayed out, like a child would sit. Beneath the tattered fabric of his antique uniform, several open wounds fester in the hot sun. Lend a hand. You kneel in front of the soldier. His body is marked with bullet holes, along with deeper wounds that could be from knives or bayonets. Maggots squirm inside the raw, red flesh. About time I earned an amputation. You seen any bluebellies around? The soldier leans in, uncomfortably close to inspect your features. Were his pupils solid white before now? He tilts his head, narrows his eyes, sniffs you. What are you, stranger? A shadow falls on the soldier's face. You damn Yankee! He pulls you in by the wrist and drives a Bowie knife into your gut. As the blade bites your flesh, the soldier stares into your eyes, his body dispersing into the wind like a cloud of dandelion seeds. His smile lights up the room, or rather the cab of the locomotive. Folks gather round as he holds the pull cord. He's a showman through and through. You'll want to cover your ears now for this next part. Sure doesn't help much. Engineer pulls that chain and the whistle blasts inside your skull. He just smiles through it all. Man must be half deaf. A round of applause erupts from the small crowd. He passes out bubblegum to the shell-shocked kid. Remember now who gets you there on the advertised. Casey Jones. Everyone's all talk as they head back to their seats. That engineer sure is handsome. Gosh. And that whistle sounded just like a whippoorwill, didn't it? Ain't this the way to travel?
I don't know which way I would choose. Yeah, the thing about down is I need this old sucker blues.
No fence, gate, or sign marks the entrance to the cemetery. Just a moment ago, you weren't surrounded by graves, and now you are. How long have you been stepping on dead folks? A wood board, bleached white. Unknown. The word was painted on black by the other graves are the same. Unknown. 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 Handwritten, nondescript. You walk for a while, reading every marker in sight, and not once do you find a name.
Won't heed temptation. I just walk on.